review it later on. So also, I don't want transcription though. If you have, so how the agenda here is, I'm going to show you the system, the dashboard as it's on my screen, show you what I can see, what I can't see. We'll talk about how the system works inside the vehicle. I'll show you some examples of things that are that alerts that come through, how coaching will work, what the disciplinary action policy will be, and then reports that we can pull. And then at the end of it, you'll have a chance to ask questions and I'll answer them the best I can. If you don't want to verbally ask the question, you can put it into the chat and I'll answer them best I can. All right. Also, please make sure your microphone is off. All right. Okay, so this is the map that we have. All of our vehicles that we have installed the camera systems into are in the Minneapolis, St. Paul area. We're hitting those this summer because that's where I'm at. That's where the cameras are at, and we're also doing training at the same time. So each one of these dots has information linked to it, like this one up here is scaffold service truck number 72. It's assigned to Lee Feely. This one here is a NICO truck 162. It's assigned to Craig Hansen. This one here is API Construction, Anthony Olberg. So you can see, and this is a truck that is assigned to me right now. And so I can just see where trucks are at, right? And it doesn't mean that just because this is assigned to Hansen that he's the one that's driving it. It could be driven by anybody at NICO. A green arrow means that it's en route. A black dot means that it is stopped and turned off. Just so you know, I installed the first one into a truck about 6 weeks ago and have been driving it, trying to work through the bumps in the system so that when it rolls out to everybody else, you're not, the system is working as best as we can get it. Obviously, there's still things that are occurring. Just earlier this week, we had scaffold service was having an issue with the camera, a camera in a truck telling them that their seatbelt wasn't buckled when it was buckled. Things like that are going to come up, and we'll work through them as they do. All right. I can also expand here and list out all the vehicles that we have. Here we can see that these 3 vehicles are in motion. How fast they're going, approximately where they're located. And then down here, here's the truck that's assigned to me, sitting at my house. Okay, so this is just the basic overview map of what we can see. All right. And then we can jump down to, let's see, let's go to, so here's another, so here are the cameras. These are not live shots. These are all the cameras that are set up, and the last picture that was taken. So this one here, you can see he's moving. We're not watching him, but this is the last image that was taken of him, of that vehicle. As we scroll down, we can see most of these vehicles are parked, and the last image was of an empty cab. All right, so the system starts up when you turn the ignition on. The system starts up. When you turn the ignition off, the system runs for an additional 10 minutes after the ignition is turned off, and then it shuts down. Okay. We can adjust that to run for 1 hour, 3 hours, up to 12 hours, but we're not going to do that because we just don't feel it's needed. Okay. Settings. So how the system is set is, so there's some there's some coaching that occurs within the cab of the vehicle, and the camera is mounted on the windshield just underneath the rear view mirror. If the camera detects an event, or the system detects an event, it will verbally coach you within the vehicle, and I'll show you what those coaching parameters are. But it'll tell you, like, if it sees that you have your phone in your hand, it will tell you to put down your phone. If it thinks you're not paying attention to the road, it'll tell you inattentive driving. If it measures your distance from you and the car in front of you, and that distance is less than 1 second, it will tell you that you're following too close and that you should back off. Okay, so there are in-cab alerts that happen. They'll continue to happen until you come into compliance with whatever policy it is. Right, and after driving with this for 6 weeks, it actually does change your behavior. I can now drive to work and back without setting off the system, so it does change behavior. Here are some of the settings that we have. So following distance detection, if you're, it'll kick in at over 45 miles an hour. If you're going more than 45 miles an hour for more than 30 seconds and your distance from the vehicle in front of you is less than a second, it's going to tell you to increase following distance. And it'll continue to do that until you increase your following distance above that 1 second. Forward collision warning. So if the artificial intelligence inside the system, measuring your speed and the distance to the stopped vehicle in front of you, thinks that you're going to hit that vehicle, it will tell you, it will alert you that there's a forward collision and hopefully get you to stop in time. And then distracted driving detection, or inattentive driving inattentive driving. This one still has some bugs to work out of it. I've gotten alerts just by, like, if I've had to scratch the back of my neck or something, so my head, and I actually saw video footage of another driver doing this yesterday, and it looks like you're looking down, but you can tell that the person's watching the road, their head is just tilted down. We can go in and say that was not inattentive driving, they were still watching the road, but it's going to watch where your face is and where your eyes are to make sure that you're watching the road, right? And then mobile usage, it will tell you if you're going more than 10 miles an hour and it sees that you have your phone in your hand, it's going to tell you to put down the phone. Other policy violations, the main one here is inward camera obstruction. So if you put something over the camera, it's going to detect that, and it's going to tell you to remove that, whatever is obstructing the camera. Okay. Speeding. So we've set our speed limits at, you're going to get an alert if you're going more than 5 miles an hour, the speed limit for 120 seconds, for 2 minutes. Moderate speeding is 10 miles an hour over the speed limit for 60 seconds. Heavy is 15 miles an hour for 60 seconds, and severe is 16 miles an hour for 60 seconds. You'll notice that these two are very close here, and it's set that way to deter speeding more than 15 miles an hour over the speed limit. Okay. Rolling stop detection will alert you if you roll through a stop sign at more than 10 miles an hour. And that's also a coaching opportunity, which we'll get into here next. All right. So that's where those are set. Coaching events. Coaching events will happen for the following reasons: crash. If your vehicle is involved in an actual crash, an actual accident. If there's a forward collision warning, if it detects drowsy driving, so if it senses that your eyes are closed for too long, it's going to send a alert to you and to your coach. Inattentive driving, mobile usage, speeding, and running a red light. Okay, so that's where our coaching moments are set up at this point. And the coaches so far, the coaches are myself for API Construction, and Marquis Washington is for Scaffold Service NICO, and the scaffold department in Milwaukee, and M. Lucas. Okay, so if you get a call from either one of us to talk about something that's occurring when you're driving, that's who you'll get a call from most likely. All right, and then also there's voice coaching is enabled for the harsh events as above, and then also if you're over 80 miles per hour. So we've set the max speed limit here at 80 miles an hour. It was 75 for the first few weeks, but then after some feedback here this week, we increased it by 5 miles an hour. And you'll also get an alert if your vehicle speed is over the speed limit by 10 miles an hour for 120 seconds, so for 2 minutes. So if you speed up to pass somebody, it's not going to alert you unless you break that 80 mile an hour limit. But if you are consistently driving at a rate of 10 miles an hour over the speed limit, it's going to alert you in the cab to slow down. All right. And then maximum speed, which is the 80 miles an hour, and harsh driving, which is acceleration and braking. Okay, so that's where the coaching, the one-on-one coaching levels are set at with the system. Right. So here's an example of following distance. And it's relatively, so he's doing 0.8 seconds. It tells you what the speed is here, 68, 69, and 65. And here he backed off on it and it went down to 1 second, 1.1. We're still working with following distance. It's still kind of in the beta mode. So, and let's see. Here's one of me doing a rolling stop. So I don't know if you saw. Okay, so here went through the stop sign at 11, 12 miles an hour, which is the limit is 10 miles an hour. So I just was over that, but here you can see it's hooked up to your vehicle diagnostic system. So it's reading the actual speed limit that's running through your speedometer. And so it is an accurate measurement of your speed. So that's what the system looks like. That's what we get for notifications, is this It shows what the driver is doing, and it shows what's happening out the front window, right? There are other, let's see. There's another way that we can, so if we get an alert that something happened, we can go back into history here. Let's see. Well, I'm gonna bother you again. So here's a trip. Okay, this is what we see. This is what we automatically get when there's a trip. Okay, it's just a series of still photographs. Okay, if we want to, if there's something that occurs, let's say there's something that occurs here at 12:01, and I want to see what happens here, I can go over here to retrieve video, and then determine the time frame of a video that I want to download it, and then view the actual video of what happened. So it's not an instantaneous thing where we can just go in and watch video unless there's an incident that occurs that alerts us to go watch the video. Disciplinary action. So the disciplinary action is relying heavily on coaching. Number one, the coaching of inside the vehicle from the system. Two, the one-on-one coaching that occurs with Marquis and I. There's a lot of opportunity for improvement and change. There are only a few things that will lead to more severe disciplinary action. And unfortunately, the disciplinary action, the actual policy has not been approved yet by legal. So what I'm telling you here is what I know. But we're going to rely heavily on coaching. It's going to, but if we see a repeated pattern of things happening, we will escalate the disciplinary action like we do within the existing policy. There are certain things like using your mobile phone, getting caught with using your mobile phone repeatedly. There's going to be a very short leash on that. Okay, we still have the no use policy through API construction or API group, not even hands-free. You can still use it. It's the policy is still the same. You can use it for GPS, you can use it for music, for podcasts, but when you're driving, you cannot use it for talking, texting, emailing, watching YouTube videos, whatever it is. The true systems are coming out of the vehicles when the camera system goes in, so there will be no cell phone blocking, but there will be obviously a camera on the driver that can detect if a mobile phone is being used. Okay. The other thing that there will be a very short leash on is messing with the system. Obstructing the camera, moving the camera, disconnecting the system, damaging the system. There'll be a very short disciplinary action policy on that. All right. If you mess with the camera, that is, that's a, I would consider that, doing something on purpose to get around safety. Okay. Reports, we can run a variety of reports from the system. Everything from, we can do, let's see, I only have 2 reports set up right now, and that is just health reports for the system, are the gateways, which is the boxes that's installed underneath the dash. Are they communicating, and is the camera operating successfully in all the vehicles? There are other reports. I've not found anything that is driver specific, like running a report on a specific driver to see how they're doing. It seems to be more along the lines of what are the most common things that are being coached, or what are the most common alerts that are going off. Okay. So I don't really, I can't tell you much about the reporting, the automatic reporting that goes on here. Okay, I think I covered everything that I have on my list. We have about 7 minutes left in a half an hour. Let me check the chat. So Joe Corbett, good question. Below mirror on windshield seems like it would be in your way. How big is the unit? The unit is not real big. I'm going to turn on my camera. So this is the size of the camera. It's about, it's about the size of my palm here. In my opinion, having driven it for 6 weeks, it doesn't obstruct my view, because it's up here in this here underneath, just below the rear view mirror. So it's not, there's nothing really up there that you would be looking at. Okay, unless you were looking at it and something up in the sky. So it doesn't, I don't think it obstructs your view much or at all. Other questions?
Hey, Brian, I got one question. I might have missed this, but will each company have like one admin that can actually access the camera or review some stuff? See how the drivers are driving? Because every once in a while we get a complaint from someone on the highway saying that we weren't using our turn signal, driving recklessly. I've actually been accused of that before, exiting onto my ramp I take every single day. I was told I would cut somebody off. Is there any way we could have access to prove that we actually have been doing that, or if someone gets belligerent about it, we can prove them wrong?
So yeah, if we get a complaint like that, you can contact Marquis or I, and we can, and if you give us, just a general idea, just what trip you're on, we can go in and request a video from that trip. And it's not going to tell me if you had your blinker on or anything like that. But we can download the video for that trip, or that portion of that trip, and send it to you. Unfortunately, there's no way at this point, and I've asked this question specifically, to let you, the drivers, to into the system to see your to watch your own footage. We would have to download it and send it to you. Does that answer your question, Alex?
Yeah, that'll be good enough.
Okay. All right. Can I keep the truth? Yeah.
Hey, Brian, it's Rick. Hey, so what is the purpose of the camera running for 10 more minutes after the truck has been stopped and you are no longer driving?
That, I don't know, Rick. That's the default that the Samsara company has set the cameras at. So I don't have an answer to that. That's just the default that it comes at.
I mean, just for, is there a, okay, that you shut the ignition off? Could it be done right when you shut the ignition off, or is that not an option?
That's not an option.
Okay,
Actually, I'll ask if it's an option. When we did the training with Samsara, that's what they said their default was, but I'll ask. The worst they can say is no.
okay, thanks.
Yep. Okay, wrote that down. Can I keep the truce box? No, the truce box have to go back.
And Brad, I guess I just want to follow up on that question too. I mean, the reason I ask is because I guess throughout this period, we've got customers and kind of laborers and stuff like that, almost, I don't want to say trained, but for lack of a better word, trained, that they know when my phone goes right to voicemail that I'm driving, I'll get a hold of them again. But now it just kind of seems like it's just going to go and it's going to be more of a, I'm ignoring them as opposed to driving. You know what I mean?
Well, I know on iPhone, you can set up a driving message that automatically kicks in when your phone senses that you're driving.
And does that shit send it right to voicemail if somebody's calling?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. My wife has it set up on hers. It sends me a text message, says I'm currently driving, and it sends me to voicemail.
Okay.
Okay. Joe Black, GPS is not always posting the correct speed. How do you approach this? So this Samsara's answer to this was they are continuously working with several groups who keep track of posted speed limits around the country, and it's continuously fed into the AI system that all this stuff gets fed into. How do I approach this? I can only depend on the data that Samsara is provided and that they're providing us. I know, but after having driven this vehicle for 6 weeks, it's been pretty accurate. I don't think I've had an issue with that. Can it detect cell phone usage by Bluetooth? No, it cannot. If you have law enforcement okay, so we'll go back to the Bluetooth thing. So there's some trust. There's more trust in this system, trust with you, the driver, that you're not going to be using your phone, because there's no blocking technology involved in this. So there's more trust that you're not going to be using your phone. With that said, if you are in an accident and we view the footage and it looks like you're talking, we'll request your phone records to see if you were talking on the phone or not, or if you were just singing along with the song. Right? If you have law enforcement contact, are you required to let them know they're being recorded? I don't know, Pistol. I'll ask. That's a good question. John Walden, I usually set my cruise at 7 or 8 over. Do I need to drop it to 4 over on those long trips? If you don't want to be talked to by the system, yes, you will need to drop it to 4 or 5 miles an hour over the speed limit, or you will get a recurring message. Travis, being on camera so much, will we have to join the Screen Actors Guild? No, you will not. they have guidelines and, you know, basically like, you know, I don't think they'd let you in, T-Bird. I'm sorry. Just gonna say it. Okay, good questions. Are there more questions?
Brian, I have a question.
Yes.
When you were scrolling through, and it was talking about like the behaviors, it said something about like eating or drinking, and if you did it within 3 times in an hour, it was going to notify you. What, can you like elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, I think that was under inattentive driving.
I think so. It was one of the last ones.
Okay, so yeah, the note that you're asking about says setting the speed threshold to 10 miles an hour or lower will generate a high volume of policy violation events. Samsara limits drivers to 3 mobile usages or 3 eating and drinking events per drive hour. So if it, and it's not, it's not that strict. I'm going to say it that way. That you'll be, I think that it's going to become an issue. So if you're drinking a cup of coffee on the way to work, which I've drank multiple legal substances on the way in, to and from work, have never gotten a policy violation for that. And my commute is only 25 minutes. So I think it's looking more for, are you distracted by what you're doing?
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks for the question. All right. We'll wrap it up then. We're 5 minutes over. Apologize for going over, but good questions. Thank you for attending. If you have questions about the system that you didn't want to ask on here, I totally understand. Give me a call, send me an email. I'm happy to talk about the system. Just want you to know, this is an API group requirement. This is API group is pushing this requirement down to all their companies. We're going to have 130 some units out there. Western States Fire Protection has 1,100 units installed. So this is something that is coming. There's nothing I can do to stop it. But it's not, speaking from experience, it's not as intrusive as you may think it is. Okay. All right. I'll post this recording for you to view or you to share with other people. Again, if you got questions, please reach out to me. Thank you.